ventral abdomen, including the prepuce, scrotum, and ventral perineum, is clipped and aseptically prepared. 4 quarter drapes are then applied. The testis is manipulated to the ventral midline of the prepuce at the base of the scrotum and is held firmly in this position. A midline skin and subcutaneous incision is made over the testis. The spermatic fascia that is restricting extrusion of the testis is incised, causing the testis to pop from the incision. The tunica vaginalis is not opened for a closed castration. The ligament of the tail of the epididymis is identified, as depicted here. The ligament is grasped with a dry swab or with a hemostat and is bluntly separated from the testis. The testis and spermatic cord is then exteriorized by steadily applying caudal and outward traction to break down connective tissue attachments to the spermatic cord. As the cord emerges, fat is removed from around the cord by proximal wiping with a swab. The tunic-covered cord is then ligated using the triple clamp method. Ideally, Rochester Carmont clamps are used for this purpose. One clamp is placed proximally, the second clamp is placed just distal to this, leaving a gap between the 2 clamps. This gap is where the transfixation ligature will be placed. The third and final clamp is placed adjacent to the second clamp. A synthetic monofilament absorbable suture of appropriate size, for example 2O or 3O PDS, is used to ligate the cord. The suture material is placed around the most proximal clamp, and a double throw is placed. The clamp is then removed and the ligature placed within the crushed tissue. The double throw is then tensioned using your thumbs. The needle drivers are left attached to the short strand to act as an extension of the suture material and are held with the right hand in this example. The main length of the suture material is held with the left hand. The thumb tips are placed down towards the double throw and the knuckles are held together. The ligature is then tensioned to effect a hemostatic ligature. The surgeon's knot is then completed with 3 single throws. Suture material is then cut at 2 to 3 millimeters. A modified Halstead transfixation ligature is then placed just distal to your circumferential ligature. The needle is passed through the cord, either using the needle tip as depicted here, or the swage of the needle may be used to drive the needle and suture material bluntly through the cord, therefore missing blood vessels. A single throw is then placed and is tightened. The remainder of the cord is then encircled and a double throw is performed opposite the single throw. This is then tightened using the thumb tensioning method. surgeon's knot is then completed routinely. Cord is then transected between the middle and most distal clamps using a scalpel blade. The cord is then grasped just distal to your transfixation ligature and the clamp is released. The cord is checked for hemorrhage, and then the tension is released while still holding onto the cord and is checked again for hemorrhage. The cord and fascia is then tucked into the incision. The approach for open castration is similar to that for closed castration, except for the fact that the tunica vaginalis is incised to expose the underlying tunica albuginea. Pressure is applied either side of the testis, causing it to pop through the tunica vaginalis. The epididymis is still attached to the tunica by the ligament at the tail of the epididymis. The ligament is then clamped using hemostats and is gently separated from the tail of the epididymis. The fascia between the ductus deferens and the vascular cord is separated using clamps. Each structure may then be ligated individually using the triple clamp method. Alternatively, the vascular cord and the ductus deferens may be ligated together, again using the triple clamp method. At this point, it is often indicated to ligate the tunica vaginalis, as it contains blood vessels that may ooze into your subcutaneous space and into the scrotum. Here, a transfixation ligature, that is a modified Halstead transfixation ligature, is being used. Once both testes have been removed, the subcutaneous tissue may then be closed. This is usually closed using a 3/0 or 4/0 synthetic monofilament absorbable suture, such as PDS or Maxon, in a simple continuous pattern. The suture is started by burying the knot. The needle is passed from deep to superficial, and then from superficial to deep on the opposite side of the incision. A single or a double throw is placed and then the knot completed. The simple continuous suture line is then continued. To complete the suture, the knot is again buried, initially by taking a superficial to deep bite away from the surgeon, and then a deep to superficial bite taken near the surgeon. The loop that is then created is held caudally with a pair of hemostats passed through the loop. Then the final bite is taken superficial to deep opposite the surgeon. An Aberdeen knot may then be used to complete the suture line. The skin is then closed using a synthetic monofilament non-absorbable suture. An example is Proline. Usually a cutting straight needle is used, and the suture is usually 3/0. Either simple interrupted sutures or cruciate sutures are used. The initial 2 sutures depicted in this video are simple interrupted. The final 2 are cruciate. Alternatively, the skin may be closed using a synthetic monofilament absorbable suture in an intradermal pattern. Usually 4O monocryl is used for this purpose.